wanna do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you wanna do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Come? All right, I'll do my own bits myself. Oh wait, no silence. We're doing it. Get off the road.
So Dave,
Yes, Boner.
a bear walks into a bar, goes up and says, "Could I please get a whiskey and a Coke?" The bartender says, "Whiskey and a Coke, sure, but what's with the big paws?" And the bear goes, "I don't know, I was born with them."
Boo.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
I'm Dave Mann.
And that wasn't a segue into a topic, although I realized that maybe if I had put more than about a minute's effort into it, it could have been. Dave, how you doing this week?
Wonderful. Looking to the future for more streaming here on Insane Games TV. Always really excited that we get to start Tuesday off with OC5X, where he was crushing it in Warzone. We had Dan seemingly this week getting crushed in NASCAR. Just could not keep his car on the track. Not by his own doing, mind you, just by people being dicks about it. And now you will see Boater and I get into a high-speed mental collision at some point.
More than likely. And then ending the night will be the Citadel, where I will be playing a 2 human.
Hell yeah.
But first, and I'm gonna try to ignore the new Stream Deck that we got, the new toys, and try not to push any buttons because that would get Dave very mad at me. There's a lot of stuff has happened this past week, and the first thing we're gonna do is follow up on a couple things from last week. One of those being that last week, at the start of the Citadel, I played a game called Anime Standing. Dave, I thought you might want to know how that went.
How did that go, Boater?
It went for maybe half an hour to 45 minutes, and the gameplay, while very basic, you can pick up crates and move them around, was at points very engaging.
Yeah.
There's one mission where you just have to move a barrel, and you cannot pick it up, you just kick it. And you have to go over a ridge. So you have to, position yourself behind the barrel. And at one point it was getting really tense because I'm like, no, it's rolling downhill. Okay, no, we're good. So it's like, that was frustrating, but maybe the most engaging gameplay out of it. And then, the vehicle is a slapdash vehicle section that looks like a Tesla Cybertruck because it only has 7 polygons. It's fine. Anime Standing is a $1 game on Steam. Get it. Go for it. It's cheap, and, it's a half an hour, 45 minutes for $1. Do it. And then there's DLC. Go for it. You do you.
If it's on Steam and it has DLC, you know exactly what kind it is, and we don't even need to go into it. Speaking of... Oh, hold on, let's see. Who could be calling the store? Let's have a guest call in. Insane Games Wilton Mall, we're live on Twitch right now. How can I help you? I do believe we have one Wii Fit board in stock. They are $19.99. We absolutely can. We open again tomorrow at 11. We closed at 7, unfortunately. Yes. Have a great one.
That is, of course, the downside to answering the phone is sometimes you end up working.
So,
I think
we just made a sale. Nerd Glasses Podcast are up $21.39 in sales for Insane Games.
Tell the caller they can only get it if they subscribe. Sure, give us a follow, and then I'll let you know what the price is. Not going to tell you that price till I see that follow come through on Twitch.
This is, when I was doing the Weekend Wednesday on my channel before the Weekend Wednesday on Insane Games TV,
Yep.
we had 4 phone calls, and I thought deeply back to the days when I started streaming in the store where we didn't have a video So what we would do is, if you were watching me on Twitch, it had in the store's number on it, and my friends would call in, and I would just put them on speakerphone and put them next to the
that's
Yeti.
awesome.
And so people didn't know we all weren't in the same room. One of my friends was calling from California.
Yeah.
But it was me, Mike, Dwayne, and then usually Kevin, which was awesome. But
Is that your favorite phone shenanigan you've ever done on stream?
I think my favorite phone shenanigan I ever did was when we were in the Aviation Mall, and I had the audience tell me whether or not we had it in stock.
Okay.
I literally was like, they're calling at 11:30 at night asking if we have this. Do we? And my cousin literally just in chat goes, "Fuck them!" And I went, "Oh no, unfortunately we are all out of that game." We had 6 copies of it, and I was like, "Ah, we are all out of that game. But if you call back tomorrow, we'll definitely be able to help you." And the person was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you were here." I was like, "Follow on to get the report," and I just hung up.
My favorite was I was streaming Cosmos Cosmic Adventure, which
Yeah.
was originally a shareware game, and then was on MS DOS. I was streaming that, and at the end of the first episode, because games of that time were generally like, "Here's the first episode for free, then call us to buy the last 2 episodes," displayed the number to call. So I called the number from a game from 1992, and this was in 2018. And I pick it up, and it's some like insurance company or something. I find out later, based out of Texas. But like, my sister was in stream and being like, "Call it." I was like, "Okay," whatever. And I call and I like ask about getting a full version of the game, and I ended up being like, "Oh, sorry, wrong number. Bye." But called, put them on speaker. "Hi, this is so and so and such and such." That highlight is on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoaterBug. It's in the stream highlights playlist. I did censor out the name of the company for that, but
I know one more if you don't mind, but
Yeah.
there is a pinball machine that I am deeply in love with, and if anyone sees it, you should take a picture of it, and you should @ me. It is Black Knight 2000. It has one of these best soundtracks. It was remade, and then a bunch of metal artists that I really like were on the recording, and so I'm waiting till the day that they release that soundtrack for me to get, because I can't afford a pinball machine. But on the back of the pinball machine, there was a sticker that said, call this number, 1-800 blah, 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 for Black Knight 2000 merch. And I was like, I would love a Black Knight 2000 t-shirt or a hat
Yeah.
or a pinball machine topper. And so I'm standing in New Hampshire at the world's largest arcade. And this was in 2019.
okay.
And I called the number.
So long ago, last year, which was about 5 years ago.
True. Although actually it wasn't in a 1-800 number, but in any case,
called
it
the
was
number.
it was just some elderly person. And so
Oh, no.
No, actually we had a pretty person conversation.
Well, that's awesome.
I told because they were like, "How did you get this number?" I said, "Actually, your number used to be a part of Williams' pinball line." And the person goes, "I get at least one of these calls a year. What's your favorite machine?" And I was like, "Okay." Like,
That's
we had
awesome.
we had a very pleasant exchange. It was very good.
That's great.
You know who's not having pleasant exchanges, Boner?
Who's that?
Apple and Epic are still not having
They
time.
did not accidentally call each other and have a pleasant chat.
Yeah, they did call each other, and those segments are online on every major gaming news site, and they are curt words where
Yeah.
the CEOs start calling each other by their first name, and that's how you know you're in trouble in CEO language.
Yes.
Regular people, if they're going, if you're walking outside, you hear David Mann, and you're like, "Oh shit, I am in so much trouble."
Yeah, if he's in a t-shirt and I say, "Mr. Mann, we need a whatever." If he's in a full suit and I turn to him and I say, "David, shit's going down."
Exactly. When CEOs start calling you by your first name, you're either getting fired or promoted. Act like either it doesn't matter because one or the other is about to happen. My absolute favorite is to just look at people and go, "So you can't have my stuff out of the fridge when I get fired," and then leaving to go talk to the meeting.
Yeah.
But no news is good news in regards to the court case.
It's been quiet. Yeah.
Yes, they have not gone back in yet because Epic's attempt of was not successful and the judge was not having it. However,
I do want to correct ourselves. I think last week we had said that Epic was the one that was like, "Oh, well, we're going to take our Unreal whatever away." I forget.
No,
exactly.
Apple said they were going to block.
Okay,
Unreal
Apple said they
Engine.
were gonna block Unreal Engine, and the judge was like, "No, that's not related to this."
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good that Epic got their hand slapped, and Apple then they turned around and they're like, and YouTube.
Yeah. And one more for Johnny and the Wimp.
My foot's cold.
I gotta go get
But-
a shoe at some point.
They did, when I opened my iOS store device, what game should be the front banner this past weekend and all weekend? But PUBG. A game that, to be honest, if you're still playing PUBG,
I was gonna say, are they
awesome!
Are they still developing that on mobile?
Yes.
Okay, good for them.
I am so excited because I like PUBG and I'm a very big fan of them, and they have a developer core right here in Saratoga Springs. So
Okay.
hint, hint, sponsor Insane Games TV there, friends. But
Get them local sponsorships.
it'll be a lot of fun. But a step away related to the Apple versus Epic argument was we talked about that they aired Epic aired an ad
Yep.
against Apple.
And they had it ready to go. They did it as soon as Apple blocked them. It was up within minutes.
Yes.
So again, number one, this was a clearly planned thing where Epic's like, we're gonna stir the pot and rile up our player base to do the fighting for us, whatever. I give them kudos for how they did the ad, and on a superficial level, it's a good dig. At its even one step deeper level, it's like, are you fucking serious? So we are working on technology here to be able to show things. So Dave, I will let you cue it up while I go get my sneaker.
You are about to enter a new chapter in Behind the Counter in the Insane Games TV studio. We're calling it Nerd Vision. Doodle-doo! It was not, in fact, a logo. It was YouTube all along. Ha ha! Fooled you.
Yeah, when you say that with a Google item, that becomes a little more ominous. Ah, it was a Google product all along. Yeah, here's my fucking surprise.
So here's the ad. We'll air the Fortnite ad first.
Okay.
The Fortnite ad that they aired, actually, it'll be right there.
Yeah.
That they did, and then we're going to show
They
you.
called 1980 Fortnite, which is a good pun.
Yes.
Good pun.
So here is the ad that they made. I will puke blood watching that ad out of sheer anger. Then, Auntie, all I will ask you to do is remember that we will, in fact, be talking directly Ridley Scott right after this ad. So,
And he has some words.
hang on to your butts. They can.
I like that someone pointed out that all of the crowd, whatever, all are the default Fortnite skins, not ones that you've ever, paid any money for. They're
Yep.
just the random ones in rotation. That's a good touch. That's a good creative touch.
So, yeah,
And then that bollocks.
So they're directly becoming 1984. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with your Mac history, let's look at 1984, Apple Macintosh's commercial. You'll notice there's a particular flavor to it. And I already spoiled who directed it, but
This is edited so much better. Like watching this after the Fortnite one. Fortnite could have matched it shot for shot.
yep,
And they didn't. And this is so well made.
they needed to show off the premium skins.
Yeah, like all this with like the moving camera, whatever.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
So,
That gave me chills. Just a little. Like I forgot how good that ad is.
yes. So that ad was directed by none other than famous writer, famous director Ridley Scott, who became aware that Epic Games and Fortnite had parodied 1984. The significance of 1984 in Mac's case was Apple wasn't a thing yet. Hadn't hit the market. IBM were pretty much the biggest game in town.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't buy one of their computers, you weren't going into the future. You were going to be one of the people missing out. But if you did, you were joining the masses, and you were going to be one of the sheeple and buying their shovelware instead of Apple's shovelware. And so,
it's you were signing up for the faceless corporate future that IBM offered, and Apple was like, it doesn't have to be like that.
And this was, by the way, when Macintosh was the name of the company. It was Wozniak.
I don't know.
There was
off the top of my head.
there was like a team of 5 nerds in a garage, and that was pretty much it. That was Mac. But Ridley Scott did a sit-down interview with IGN's Clint Gage, and he had this to say. He asked, have you seen Epic's remake of your famous 1984 commercial? I sure have, and I wrote them because on the one hand, I can be fully complimented by the fact that they copied my commercial shot for shot.
They didn't.
But pity the message is so ordinary when they could have been talking about democracy or more powerful things, and they didn't use it. He added, I think the animation is terrific and the idea is terrific, but the message was So
it's interesting. It's interesting even that he says that. Oh yeah, shot for shot, whatever. When it's like very clearly, there's so much more craft in his live action one. That was a Super Bowl commercial. I just double checked some of the background of that. There's so much more craft in that, and then like they just rendered that stuff with all their pre-existing assets and half-assed it.
I think if we remember Ridley Scott for anything. Now that he's a little bit older, he's a wee bit
mellow.
Just the edges come off of him.
That's a lot more mellow than I expected because Ridley Scott has a reputation.
He used to be spitfire about things, including the Alien franchise, which he didn't want to do anymore. So
yeah, I like. I'm a little surprised that was like, oh yeah, they did well, but it's a shame that it was so pedestrian. I thought it was going to be like, how fucking dare? No, okay.
So I did link the ad that this comes from, which has the interview, which has Ridley Scott himself in his own words.
Okay.
But man alive, to know that Ridley Scott, and to know that Epic Games tried to reference that, of all things.
And again, to be fair, I don't think Epic cares about... I don't give the teams at Epic enough credit to be like, oh, they care what Ridley Scott thinks. It's just like, we got a cheap dig in on Apple because that was the only ad we could think of. Which, good for them and not doing like the Mac PC Switch commercials.
You know what they should have done, though? They should have just put on one of the dance videos and done the black foreground character.
One like the iPod commercials from the late aughts.
Yes, they should have done one of those.
Good. I like
the only
those.
problem is you can't stick a colorful character when they are blacked out.
Yeah.
So you can't directly parody something that's not then going to make you money. I see what you're doing, Epic. B for gold star for trying.
I give you an A for having the idea. I think it's poorly placed. I think the idea is poorly done. But you had an idea, and I like the idea. What else do we got?
I mean, we're segueing into something very interesting, and we haven't discussed this a lot on the stream. But the reality is that we are in almost a Ridley Scott movie, in all the time with the masks and all these things. And Boda recently found something interesting about a robot dogter, as I'm going to call it.
Oh my god, that's awful. Coming from me, that is awful. Okay, so Dave, before I mentioned this, were you familiar with Spot?
The robot technology, yes, that MIT was doing, but Spot's in this. Adam
Savage had a series of really good videos with Spot, like doing like the rickshaw with him and stuff like that. That was really cool. But as much as turning Spot into something to carry your Victorian steampunk rickshaw is cool, I think this is a little more practical. So go ahead, switch there. I'll talk a little bit about what the team at MIT and Brigham and Women's Hospital is doing. They've taken Spot, the Boston Dynamic robot, and it's working as a point of contact with people who are showing symptoms of COVID-19. So this is still something that is a paper that has not been fully peer-reviewed yet. Sorry that we're blocking the text there. But essentially, when patients suspect that they have COVID-19, and especially when there's like a whole bunch of them, because historically it was a ton of people intense and just trying to figure out like who has it, who doesn't, whatever. And medical workers were very much at risk because they had to go there. They needed to get your pulse. They needed to check your breathing rate. They needed to get your temperature, stuff like that.
And then they need to go do that with 600 other people.
Yeah. And so what Spot is able to do is that it keeps healthcare workers from getting prolonged contact. Like, you're still going to need to go there to do the nose swab thing up your way back in your...
Yeah, the robot's not going to grow an arm and have a syringe on it and be like,
I've seen Spot with a manipulator arm, but I wouldn't trust it to go that far back in my nasal cavity and not break something. So while someone would still need to do that, what Spot can do is that it can measure the vitals when they first come in and visit. It can check their body temperature, their breathing rate, their pulse, and blood oxygen saturation, all at a distance of 2 meters, using computer vision, using different wavelengths of light. As you saw, there's a tablet mounted on it, so that while this cute robot comes up, there is still a medical worker's face that is talking to you and says, hey, here's what we're doing, here's what we're going to do, can you describe your symptoms to me, so on and so forth.
Instead of terrifying robot face that comes in the room going, I am scanning for your temperature!
Yeah.
Your temperature is high! Authorities will be alerted!
Put googly eyes on it, it's fine! So there's the tablet up there. It's still in testing. Their hope is that it'll start with initial check-ins, but then be able to do long-term monitoring. So if you've got... okay, cool. We've got these 100 people that are in quarantine while we, are trying to get more tests in or whatever. We've tested them and we're waiting for the test to come back.
Yeah.
The robots can be doing the periodic check-ins to continually get their vitals and get valuable information that's needed for their health. And again, so that healthcare workers don't have to be putting their wellness on the line to do so. It's a really cool application. I love seeing practical ways that technology can make things better.
It'll be very interesting to see how they do changing out the cores of that robot, though.
Yeah.
Once they decide that they need it for construction instead of just walking around with the patients.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
I also figure it's really easy to decontaminate that thing.
That dog probably likes that.
Yeah,
exactly.
They program in a little butt wiggle. You were mentioning, and like I don't know how much you've seen of it, but like when you press forward on Spot, if he sees some obstruction, he'll still walk around it even if you're just pressing forward.
Yep.
So they've got the doctor or whatever is looking out that tablet and controlling what Spot's doing. Walk on up to the patient and say through the tablet, "Hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so." It's really, really cool stuff. Many thanks to regular viewer, more like Rigor Mortis, for sending that in.
That is always excellent. So we could say that there could be some practical applications for those robots.
Yep.
And then there's going to be people that are going to goof off with it and treat it like it's a game.
Like Adam Savage with the rickshaw.
Exactly. And while we're talking about games, there are some that Boder and I have spotted in the recent news or things like that are drawing some attention. And one in particular, I'm going to show the intro for it because it's going to be awesome, and I'm very excited for people that play this particular game.
Okay.
There we go. Still getting used to having
Still
such
getting used
power.
to our buttons. Yeah, I at home I just use my numpad as my Stream Deck, but it's nice. I need to get me one of those. Okay, so while this is coming up, because Dave, this is a 5-minute cinematic. Tell us what we're looking at.
We're not doing the whole 5 minutes. However, Blizzard is coming out with the next expansion. It's actually going to be coming out October 27th, 2020.
Okay.
And it is World of Warcraft Shadowlands. I don't know much about the storyline content being added, except for the fact that when they add new chapters of this size, people who have been World of Warcraft have stopped playing for like 10 years, usually then go buy a copy and come back.
They get it, come back, and play it for, the content of the expansion, and then end up falling off the wagon again.
So I'm very interested to see how this is, but it was interesting to see that it looks like Blizzard really did look over at Activision's paper and go, people are willing to download how many gigs? Well, because Shadowlands expansion is going to add 100 gigabytes to your current sized game.
What is the current size of the game, Dave?
So, I did a lot of research online looking for that exact answer. World of Warcraft on its official page says that it is 60 gigs. However, if you download any extra skins, pets, not mods, but additions to the game, any extra episodes, things like that, you're looking at between 60, 70, 80, 90 gigs alone. However, Boater, in a nail biter, it is still, with the extra 100 gigs, not bigger than Call of Duty Warzone on PC presently, topping out at a whopping, if you download absolutely everything for Call of Duty Warzone, 220 gigs.
I was off by double. I guess 540 something.
Interestingly enough, though, to get this game on your PC at home, the other requirement, and this is something I am going to spring on you, Boater, but I find it interesting, that Blizzard is now saying you need to have a solid-state drive.
Interesting.
For it.
Interesting.
Would you mind explaining the difference between solid-state and what the other side is?
So, a hard disk drive is the standard hard drive, and that's one that has series of platters inside the drive. It's basically, they are really, really high-density CDs. And so when it's looking for data off of the drive, an ARM needs to go to the spots where here's the drive, there's a spinning disk here, and ARM goes, I need something from here, I need something from here, I need something from here, I need something from here. You watch a hard drive in operation, and this is spinning 7,200 RPM, and this is going can't do that with the mask on. Although I feel like I gave it a good go. So that's a hard drive. A solid state drive is kind of like RAM. It's like an SD card. There is no physical moving parts. It's all there, immediately accessible.
Yeah.
Solid state drives are much, much, much faster than hard drives. They have no moving parts, so they are more durable. They have a downside of a theoretical cap of read-write cycles, at which point they may fail. But they are so much faster. I think the next generation consoles, I think, are coming with solid-state drives. The current generation still has hard drives or hybrid drives. I don't know how that black magic works, but like Apple was one of the first ones to really get those into mass production going and have hybrid drives. Solid-state drives are generally, they're better. The downside is that per dollar, you get much less storage. So for the price that I can get to get a 2 terabyte hard disk drive, the size that I'm looking at for a solid state, I haven't done the shopping recently, I'm going to guess it's somewhere around 500 gigs, 512 or something like that. Like a quarter of the price maybe. And that is an estimation. Again, I haven't done the shopping recently, but that's what feels about right. I know the technology is getting cheaper, but so is the technology for hard disk drives. I was surprised when I needed to get a 2 terabyte drive and I found it for like $70. Last time I needed to buy one, it was close to 100.
Any thought? Because I'm not a PC gamer, I will add a hard drive to my PS4 to get more storage, but that's about it.
You should always, I would say at this point, you should have your system drive, like your Windows drive, be a solid state drive. And it's been kind of the thing for a while that you should have a solid state for gaming as well, because that 240 gig install whatever, if your game needs to find everything, your loading times are going to be really long.
Yeah.
Solid states can really cut down on loading time as long as I was going to start auto playing something. as long as the game has support for it. Now, some games are, the loading screen is the length of the loading screen, it's the length of the loading screen, and it's not going to help. But a lot of games are well optimized for SSDs. But because they're more expensive, and with games getting bigger and bigger, it is economical to just get a hard disk drive for your game. So, being a really big install and requiring it to be on an SSD, that's kind of a punch. That said, on my computer, I have roughly 500 gig system drive, solid state, and then a roughly 500 gig games drive that I upgraded within the last year. Because games were starting to get so big that the 240 SSD that I had in there wasn't cutting it, so I upgraded it. Because, oh geez, I need to uninstall 5 different things in order to play Nier Automata, which is 80 gigs. But at this point, I'd say, like, if you are a PC gamer, it is a good thing to have multiple drives so that if your system drive crashes, you don't lose your installs and save games and whatever. And for all that I do, again, like I have that system drive that's a 500 gig SSD. I have a 500 gig games drive. Like literally, this is just for games.
Yeah.
And then I have a bunch of other hard disk drives for my video editing. Solid state would be a little faster, but I don't exactly need that speed when there's other bottlenecks. So
it'll be very interesting to see where that goes and how much Blizzard and especially World of Warcraft is now getting massaged by the Activision overboard. Fortunately for that game, at least, there is a very, very vocal fan base, and they will vote with their money.
Yes.
And so Activision and Blizzard will kowtow to that group.
Yeah. As opposed to Call of Duty games, which I don't care how much you complain about it, you're still going to buy the fucking thing.
Exactly.
There's
you gotta
the
try.
thing where Call of Duty had a trailer that included a bit of footage of Tiananmen Square, and they ended up taking that down because China, and I think China has some Chinese company has a 5% stake in Activision, but also not just that, but also if you want to sell your game in China, you keep the party happy, and so while I would love Activision to say no, too bad, we're making our game as is. And if you don't let your people play it, then whatever, we're going to make the game we want to make. Activision doesn't have that kind of morality. And it would fall to the players to say, oh, no, we stand with artistic integrity, and we're not going to buy this game if you kowtow to China. No. Call of Duty players are going to get it. They're going to get, as a friend of mine put it, they're going to get their shooty bang bang game.
Oh, how sad that people trivialize other people's games instead of playing their own shit.
I'm sorry, I know that I cast a big net over Call of Duty players, but I will say that there is that stereotype. And yes, there are people that are going to care, don't get me wrong, but they are going to be a metaphorical drop in the bucket for the people that just get Call of Duty every year, compared to, again, the WoW community that is going to be a little more on top of that.
The difference is market appeal.
Yeah.
Someone's absolutely able to buy a Call of Duty today and play it today,
Yep.
Whereas for your middle-of-the-road WoW experience, you could buy a PC and then buy WoW and start playing within an hour.
Yeah, because PC isn't the default way for people to get on the internet anymore. It's not just assumed that you have a PC.
Yeah.
You have a phone. But if you want to get a PC, it should be able to run WoW. But this just makes sure that you need to get a middle-of-the-road PC and not just the one step up from a Chromebook.
Yes.
Apologies to my friends with Chromebooks.
Whatever game you play, enjoy that game, but always keep a weary eye to the majestic overlords that loom overhead.
Yeah.
While we're looking up there, Boater, you had something about airplane mode.
I did. So, of course, Microsoft Flight Simulator came out a couple weeks ago, and it's been kind of a big thing. I saw some videos by Air Force Proud 95, who did a lot of videos with Flight Simulator X, and Flight Simulator 10, whatever. It's FSX. So he did some stuff with Flight Simulator 2020, and it looks so good. And Flight Sim, hey, this is the big buzz, whatever. Someone wanted in on that, so they aren't coming out with a competitor to Flight Simulator. Instead, it's sort of a companion game. The developer is Honsei Aoji, and I probably mispronounced that. The game is called Airplane Mode. You do not fly an airline in airplane mode. You sit your ass in economy. and you sit in your window seat and look out the window, or maybe you get the middle seat between two large Albanian women with excruciatingly severe body odor. Weird Al reference.
Boo!
And so like it's somewhat randomized, but no, you sit in economy, and so far there are 2 flights in the game as it is being developed. And that is a 6-hour flight from JFK to Reykjavik, or a 2.5-hour flight from JFK to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And it is in real time, and you sit there.
Oh my god!
And you sit there in economy with your tiny little bit of leg space, hoping the person in front of you doesn't put their seat back, hoping there's not a screaming baby. There's randomized stuff. There could be a screaming baby. There could be turbulence. You got to sit there playing games on your phone, hoping you brought a book to read, reading the in-flight magazines, and hoping the in-flight movie isn't Biodome with Pauly Shore. Making those Albuquerque references. The voice of the captain of the plane is none other than Bennett Foddy. And this game is still under development, but it's literally so we can joke about it, whatever. But at the same time, Dave, are you aware of the phenomenon of slow television?
In regards to...
It's a Nordic thing. It's a Scandinavian thing that is basically like if you switch to whatever channel on your TV, the show is the camera on the front of a train during a 12-hour ride from one place to another. That's it. It is just like something to put on and zone out. And like again, I mentioned Tom Scott however many times on here. Add one to the counter. He did a video last month on how much a billion is versus a million by simulating the distance if you stacked bills and then laid them down. And a million was about 100 yards. A billion, he got in a car and drove an hour. And so I just put that on YouTube, and that was on in the background while I was reading. Slow television is this kind of... You're not sitting there watching it intently, but with all the noise going on in entertainment, it is very much a put this on and decompress. And so as much as airplane mode is a joke, don't get me wrong, it is a joke. When you cast Bennett Foddy as the captain of the airplane, it's a joke.
Oh, God.
But it's the kind of thing that you can like just have on in the background, more for a gag than anything. You know, assuming that the plane doesn't crash in the middle of the ocean and you need to go through the make sure you put your own mask on before you put the mask on of the person next to you, and whatever. Yeah, that is airplane mode. It is scheduled for release in October, I think. I did not see the release date, or I did, but I forgot to write it down. But yeah, that's a thing, Dave.
It'll be very interesting to see. Just hope he doesn't crash into a mountain. Oh, God. You suddenly look up and the in-flight steward's giving you a...
Airplane mode is due for release on PC and Mac in fall 2020. No price has been announced yet, but there's a Steam page that offers a look at some of the things that you can do. PC Gamer reports players will be spoiled for their choices how to pass the time. Full access to your carry-ons, including a book and mobile phone, in-flight magazine, and seat-back entertainment system. Random events like turbulence, crying babies, landing delays, and many more of the mundane thrills of airline travel will occur. I like stupid games, as evidenced by Anime Standing.
But if Bennett Foddy's involved, it's not stupid for the sake of, we're not going to put any effort into making this, let's make a stupid game. It literally is a game that's supposed to test your patience.
Yeah.
What's going on, Akai? You know what? Akai and Demon Dragon and Auntie, if you are still there, I need your help. You're about to tweet something about a game that you definitely love and play along with me here.
Is this a hypothetical, or literally should I be opening Twitter?
You don't have to. Don't open Twitter. Just in chat, you're going to talk about your favorite mobile Pokemon game, which was called Pokemon Masters up until August 2020 on its anniversary, where it became Pokemon Masters EX. So can you write that however you would if you were going to tweet about it? So hashtag Pokemon Masters EX. How do you write that?
Well, I went in with well, it's now the game that is X Pokemon Masters, but no, that would be Pokemon Master Sex.
So, now I'm glad, Boater, that you hit that right on the head, because when this game did in fact hit its 1-year anniversary, and congratulations, Pokemon Masters EX. I'm sure your mobile game is a hit somewhere else, not on my phone. But unfortunately, they decided not to capitalize the EX on their broadband campaign. So I'm gonna put this into chat exactly as it is. It is Pokemon Masters EX.
And then lowercase EX.
Yep. They put hashtag Pokemon Master Sex. So
hold on, is that like PC Master Race, but like proclaiming that Pokemon is the superior sex to male, female, and all the others? Because I could agree with that.
It's just an son of a. It's
Okay,
just
you're taking a nap.
it's just an unfortunate snafu in regards to, and it's just one of those clear signs that the people who do these things don't look at the product that they're created,
Yeah.
or do these certain things as they do them. They just release those things and throw them out. King Balls, thank you very much for the concern. I actually work in an environment where I am exposed to many more people, and it would not be fair to my co-host, being that we are within 6 feet, that just because I didn't feel like wearing a mask, that I would expose him to something that I would get exposed to by other people who don't feel like wearing masks.
Yeah, it's at this point I wear masks. I found really comfortable masks. I'm totally fine wearing them, especially when they're new and haven't shrunk in the dryer. We're totally fine wearing them. We wear them all the time. And again, it's if we are not fully within each other's bubble, we're both more comfortable wearing masks around each other. So.
But we do sincerely appreciate the chatter, and welcome to the stream.
Absolutely. So welcome to the stream, King Balls 401. Demon Dragon and Akai just having a lot of fun with Pokemon Master Sex.
And so they released
Oh
it.
God! No! I had another interpretation of it.
Don't do it. So basically,
Professor Oak!
They tweeted all these things, and of course,
Why?
the internet gave them a collective exactly 2 minutes of. What?
Hold on. You have 120 seconds to think about what you've done.
So they didn't, unfortunately, and they're not changing it. So, congratulations to Pokemon Masters EX, and absolutely make sure to hashtag Pokemon Master Sex your favorite adventures in that mobile game. It looks pretty fun.
Dave, you know how like on Twitter when there's like hashtags for like games coming out or whatever, where they put like a little emoji or picture next to it?
Yeah.
I just want Pokemon Master Sex shocked Pikachu face. Oh no,
God.
Pikachu!
Oh God. Let's see. Do I have a Twitch emote that's close to that? Yeah, I've got shocked Hammond. That'll do. What's everyone in chat just right now? Your most shocked emote that you currently have? I'll throw in a couple mic faces. That's what the internet was definitely doing. They were definitely doing that. Really? Right now? That's your campaign?
Yeah.
But Pokemon Masters has been out for a calendar year. For mobile games, and especially for Niantic mobile games, the fact that it's still receiving support really is, and hi Vladdy, by the way, Kai with the looking at his head. So, I saw that, and I thought to myself, that's Nerd Glasses material.
Nope.
But we couldn't be talking on Nerd Glasses. It wouldn't be a week of Nerd Glasses if someone on the internet didn't boob it up, and not just large corporations.
Yeah, it's actually been a recurring thing. I'll let you make your segue, and then I'll get my segue.
So it's not just large corporations that have been boobing it up recently. It's truly those individuals who want to achieve a next level of stupid that they will be immortalized on the internet forever. A meme, if you will.
Yeah, and if I can use my segue, well, Dave, another week, another dumbass banned from Twitch.
So, we're going to play this for you, and I want to see if you guys can pick out why this person is and should be shitting his pants. Specifically.
So this is not the clip that I saw. Someone made a better clip than this, but that still shows pretty well without us trying to find the other one. So go ahead and show that. I'll describe the one that I saw.
Just because I have a good recoil, I'm good at the game. It's the first time you see someone good at the game.
So what he's doing is that he's waiting in the lobby in Call of Duty Warzone. And at the one that I saw, he was talking about how great he is. And, oh, well, when people see recoil this good, they're amazed and they don't know how they can whatever. By the time that this clip was taken, someone had seen, he had noticed that there's a window up in the background underneath his task manager. Because he probably alt-tabbed to bring up the task manager for something else, and oops, this other window came up. The clip that I saw, he hadn't noticed it was there yet. He's talking about how good he is at Call of Duty Warzone. Meanwhile, there is a window back there for engine owning, which, of course, is a somewhat well-known cheat program for Call of Duty.
Great job, Cloftus. Lol, okay, you can hide it, brah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fell off the ladder today. And unfortunately, so many other people don't know what engine owning is to be able to see that, Mr. Golds, you cheated, you streamed yourself cheating, and Twitch is very clear on what happens with that.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your ban.
Twitch's terms of service says no. So it's not known if it is a full permanent ban or if it's just a temporary suspension. At the moment, he is still not there. I have not been able to find a statement by Mr. Golds or by Twitch that says one way or the other. Twitch's statement is, that's our terms of service, and he fucking broke it. Bye. Yeah, and so he's bragging about how good he is, and it's sitting right there.
The internet was so busy this weekend. Between Pokemon Sex and Mr. Gold, I don't know how you found the time.
Engine owning wasn't the only Call of Duty cheat service to find itself in hot water either. There is one called cxcheats.net that provides cheat programs and cheats for Call of Duty Warzone, for Apex Legends, for PUBG, for a bunch of things like that. It is a paid cheat program, so if you want it, you pay $60, I think, for it. And they issued a statement on their Discord before they shut down their Discord server that they had received a lawsuit from Activision and that they would be stopping development and support. And there's people that are like, oh, but you still have my money, and this sucks for us, and how dare you? It's like, shut up. Shut up. If one person in a 100-person Battle Royale game cheats their way to the top, that is unfair for 99 other people. Cheating in multiplayer games is absolutely despicable. People keep in mind, when do you think it might be okay to cheat in a game? Is it not? We do want to hear your opinions. But, CX Cheats shut down, and their investigative journalism hasn't found any actual lawsuit filed for this, but it was probably actually a cease and desist that said, don't, or else we will, and we will win.
Or they might honestly be waiting for that company to file its taxes. To be able to say, oh, you
made how much money off of our game?
Yep.
Yeah.
You made how much off of illegal software? Well, thank you.
Yeah. Twitch is confident enough to be, banning people because where the hell are you going to go? Enforcing their terms of service. And Activision is like, hey, here's our terms of service, which says you can't use our software and make money off of it. So stop it. So Dave, when is it acceptable to cheat in a video game?
Single player games.
Yep.
Cheats are hilarious. Big Head during 007 made that game way better.
Yep. Unlocking the rocket propelled the RPG in a car in Age of Empires. Yep.
Online local multiplayer games where everyone, I think, this is my personal feelings, but where everyone is in agreement that cheats are allowed to be on for everyone universally.
Yep.
And the third one that I only added when I found out that some games find out that you're cheating and then banish you to the, what's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bad place called?
Shadow Realm?
The Shadow Realm! And then once you're in the Shadow Realm, go fucking nuts. You're in a lobby. You're in exclusive lobbies with just people that cheat. So why not make it harder for them? In fact, the harder you try to crash that lobby, the more successful you are in benefiting the game from just shaking out that rat's nest. What about you? What do you think?
I will absolutely agree with single-player games and local multiplayer games where everyone is on the same page, where the cheats are universal, everyone knows that they're there. Someone hasn't turned them on sneakily. Like, there's been times when I was playing Age of Empires with friends and like the temptation is there to turn on cheats a second before the host starts the game. No. Like, if it's a universal thing where everybody can do it, then fine. It's like, hey guys, we're gonna all play Age of Empires with Flying Dutchman kind of thing. Demon Dragon, let me know if you want me to share the story of your Dragon Age mods. You know the one. Yeah, and the kind of thing where it's not hurting anybody. If you're doing it on unsuspecting people, unsuspecting victims, frankly, in an online game, it's not cool. If you're doing it just with yourself, when I'm playing against Tom, oh wait, I didn't say that.
That is officially redacted.
Well, it's in the chat, unless you moderate it out.
I mean, no, Dan issued a. Oh wait, I didn't say that. That's totally fair.
Okay,
that's how that works in life when you.
Demon Dragon has had quite the assortment of mods for Dragon Age Origins. I wouldn't necessarily call them cheats, but mods. And at one point, she disabled a couple of the mods so that she could show her dad the game, because her dad would be the type that would enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
She meant to disable them, but she didn't. And so what happens is her dad goes to play the game.
No.
The first time they see one of the male characters, he's standing there at attention, totally buck naked. Because, of course, she had sexy nude mods for Dragon Age. And her dad goes to play Dragon Age, and there's a dude presenting right there. And he's like, oh, this is interesting. And, like, how she didn't die of embarrassment, I don't know. But she was her dad's cool enough to understand the idea of, like, third-party mods, that, like, that's not the actual game.
It's the internet. If it's a game you like, a thing you like, or you yourself are probably in some sort of eroticism of some sort or another.
Yeah.
Get used to it, internet. You open Pandora's box when you let people post stuff of their free will on there, and this is what you get.
Rule 34, yeah. If a game supports modding, there will be nude mods for it. I would be somewhat shocked if there wasn't some sort of unofficial nude mod for American Truck Simulator.
You know what I can say? That, you know what the internet had a lot of fun with? Is something that
I wanted to see more of Alistair.
Fair.
Winky face.
Fair. Gentlemen.
And your dad got to see more of Alistair.
Gentleman is cut from marble. But you know what it does? You know what Community had a lot of fun with once they made it? The Sonic movie. Boy, howdy, did the internet have a field day with adding their characters into that one.
Let me be clear. I have nothing against furries. I have nothing against. No, I have nothing against any of that. But it's like, where there is furries, there is of course also Yif, and it's not my yum. You go do your thing.
Boy, they're throwing a lot of very industry terms at everybody all at once. But the long and the short is,
industry terms, yes.
Be happy with the corner of the internet you have. If you happen upon a corner of the internet you don't like, just make sure you clear your browser history, you perv. No, I'm just...
Yeah, it's... The thing is, if no one's getting hurt, don't yuck in someone's yum. It's not my thing for people to be putting sexy self-avatars into the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Or playing Call of Duty just because you like the game.
Yeah, it's you know what? Have fun. You know, self-insert fanfic is a thing. Self-insert fan art, and I'm thinking of the word insert being used here. Let's move on. Dave, please let's move on.
I will gladly. We are edgingly close to downtime for the Nerd Glasses, so I will borrow from Jim Sterling. I will table a story about an internet folk getting what they deserve for another time. And I will just steal from Jim Sterling, and I will say, oh, Ubisoft. They posted something on their Twitter, which they immediately then were told they had to pull down. It pertains to what they're calling the upgrade process for all of your Ubisoft titles playing online
Okay.
and moving forward to the PS5 and to the Xbox One.
Okay.
Series X. If you are a Series X person, if you look, it's still there. Achievements, online multiplayer for the Xbox One will be forwards compatible to Series X, and backwards compatible for all gen Ubisoft games. Microsoft has already given them all the toolkits to forward them up, and they are working on that. So, good on you,
Okay.
Ubisoft.
Yep. Backwards compatibility is always a thing, and the thing is that it's always like, okay, the consoles may be backwards compatible, but it does fall to the developers to release patches and stuff for it.
Yes.
Ubisoft is putting that effort forward.
Ubisoft, I mean, they
Ubisoft
already
get-
have, because they've re-released all the almost
Yep.
almost all of the main story Assassin's Creed
Yep.
games to a certain degree to the Xbox One. Why not write another 4 lines of code to put it on the
Yeah.
Series X?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give them 10 points up right now for doing that for stuff like that. Okay.
Hold up Dumbledore and say that again.
10 points for Ubisoft.
The other post that they absolutely had to
Ubisoft
take down.
sounds like a house name.
The other post they had to take down was for the PlayStation 5. In it, it specifically said, PS4 online multiplayer will be compatible PS4 to PS5.
Okay.
So if you play online on a Ubisoft game, they have confirmed to a certain degree that it is. However,
5 points.
their words were, and I quote, "It is not possible for us to upgrade PS3, PS2, and PSX titles." Now,
Okay.
I will tell you that you can get on PS4, you can get Assassin's Creed the original. You can get Assassin's Creed 2, you can get Assassin's Creed 3, even if you don't buy a PS4 game. And it's because Sony has digitized literally all of their AAA back catalog
Yeah.
and are working on digitizing their smaller games catalog, giving a substantially smaller cut, but licensing fees to the parties here within.
Okay. Okay.
And that is why Sony will likely not have backwards compatibility to PS3 disc games, PS2 disc games, and PS1 disc games. Although a man can hope, a man can dream.
So hold on. They said that. So they said we can't do that with older than PS4 games.
They said
had
that
to-
they will be doing nothing with the PS3, PS2, and PSX games.
Okay.
But the PS4 games will likely they will be forwards compatible, and the online multiplayer, if the lobbies are still open, will be forwards compatible to the 5 lobbies as well.
Okay. I'm not seeing where we're poo-pooing on Ubisoft here.
So the whole point is, though, that they were not supposed to release that yet.
Oh.
They were not supposed to say about their upgrade process until a couple months from now, when the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One X are fully revealed, the price points, the stocking, how to get, and all these things.
Yeah, and all those little nitty-gritty details.
Ubisoft, just knowing that it's kind of a slow news week, wanted to create a little traction for themselves.
I'm
Threw that out
not
there.
going to blame Ubisoft on that one. I'm going to say that's a poo-poo on Sony for getting a stick up their butt about that kind of thing, because they know that they can't compete with Microsoft's backwards compatibility. Because Microsoft was totally fine with them releasing the thing. They're like, hey, cool, this is a good point. Go ahead and release it. Liking to see that kind of thing. Sony is very much like, no, you do what we tell you to, when we tell you to.
Just as Nintendo does with everything else as well.
Yeah, so I'm not counting that as a point against Ubisoft. They did a thing, and the console maker is like, oh, wait a second, no, that's
I will,
whatever.
just in the idea of yucking people's yum, because fuck you, Microsoft fanboys that continue to shove backwards compatibility down my throat at this store, and yet, where are all your titles that you were promised on the Xbox 360, and then the One, and now the Series X?
Dave, I do a lot of backwards compatibility stuff, and it
Yes,
works
you do.
really well. So
You do, but do you have all the games like you've been promised for 4 console generations? Do you
No.
have all the games backwards compatible? Do you have everything accessible to you? as Microsoft has ranted and raved and poo-pooed on Sony. And then when people finally get bored of saying that online, Microsoft almost instantly halts the backwards compatible process, updating it monthly. It is amazing how when the press
Here
cycle
we have
stops,
a butthurt PlayStation family.
indeed we do. Because, folks, you're getting fed bullshit, and I'm glad you like the way it tastes, and I'm glad it's got corn in it for you.
Akai says, I also read that the reason it isn't also happening is because no one cares about backwards compatibility, but I beg to differ. Yeah, the thing is that, like, backwards compatibility is, and, like, Microsoft coming from a PC development thing, Windows maintains such amazing backwards compatibility, and they want to bring that over. Is it 100% backwards compatible? No. It's sometimes short of entirely rewriting a program, short of entirely reprogramming a game, it's not possible because of how it's put together. And I understand that. They are doing what they can, which is a hell of a lot more than we can say for Sony's efforts. Do they do re-releases? Yes. But they don't even get to the point where Microsoft's backwards compatibility library comes up.
Well, they don't need to because all the games are now digitally available for less than $5.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if they're, I'm counting that with backwards compatibility, by the way, like releases like that, where like you can put this in and says, oh, you own it. Yeah, fine. Here, you can download it off the thing. And I'm not saying that they're crap with backwards compatibility. I did Suikoden 4 on my YouTube channel, and that was played on a PS3, and I think I could easily get it on a PS4. But that's because it's one that they were able to get the licensing and such to re-release it like that.
Yep.
And again, Microsoft's doing some similar things as well. But I think that Microsoft's backwards compatibility works smoother than Sony's.
Because Microsoft wants backwards compatibility,
Yep.
which is awesome. And also why what'll be interesting looking going forward is Sony and Microsoft are snapping up game studios, left, right, and center, where they're drawing battle lines and things like that. And more so now than ever, they're buying up game studios.
Okay.
And so it'll be interesting to see how backwards compatibility gets affected by Microsoft owns Rare. Not that Rare made any software exclusively for PlayStation, but it'll be interesting to see how that affects distribution of same.
That's a reasonable concern, yeah. Like if someone was a free agent developer and made a PlayStation exclusive, then they get bought by Nintendo, say, yeah, how does that affect being able to do that? So that's an interesting concern. Usually what will happen is the IP would either go with the developer and then, well, now it's released on Xbox.
Well, yes. As it has with the Rare, for example, Rare is
Rare
the
games. Yeah, you use that example, and so a lot of Rare games are available on the Xbox Marketplace now. So, like, although they may have come out on the N64, you may not find them in the Nintendo Switch store. But it is still possible to play those games just on a different company's console, which I think in the end is a good thing. As frustrating as it may be if you just keep to your Nintendo line purity. I do think it's a good thing, at least when games are made available to be played, whatever the circumstances.
Absolutely.
As, again, I say here with Two Human, an illegal game sitting on the counter ready to be played in about 15 minutes. So
it's a good day to be a gamer. The other point, my last point for this Microsoft buying and Sony buying is that they buy these companies, and unlike an Activision, an EA, a Rockstar, they don't shovelware them and then shut them down.
You say that, but that's how Ensemble Games and Bizarre Creations died under Microsoft.
All those Sony companies are doing really well, though.
I'd have to do research.
I'm glad that you will try to call me on it, but I can definitively tell you that since Sony started buying them in the generation of PS4...
Although the ones that I use aren't ones that Microsoft bought, per se. They were ones that were more or less with Microsoft their entire life. Ensemble was with Microsoft pretty much through all of their releases. Then they did Halo Wars, which was their last game, and then they were more or less closed.
So it wasn't a studio they purchased outright and then shut
I
down.
don't think so. Bizarre Creations, I want to say they got their start with Project Gotham Racing on the original Xbox.
Nice.
If they did stuff before that, Microsoft bought them for Project Gotham Racing. They did a few other games. They did one of the racing games that came out a little bit ago, like 2007, 2008, and then they did like one other oddball game and then were shut down. And like I don't know the exact circumstances behind that, but it's similar to when we were talking last week about crud, let me bring up my stuff from last week. EA, was it? No, 2 weeks ago. Project Ragtag. Yeah, EA, where they had Visceral Games, which they haven't shut down. No, maybe they did. I don't know. I think they did end up totally shutting it down because they had them work on something that wasn't in their wheelhouse. And so, like, I don't really know with Sony what production houses they have. I will say I think that Sony does a good job of this is what you do. Do your thing and we will publish.
What they decided to do was they were only going to buy small companies that Sony could then, like, oh, you're not going to have a distributor, things like that. We will gladly become partners with you. Sony invests some capital in them. They make the games for PS4 first. Days Gone is an example of that. Kojima Productions is another. And so unlike the Activision Blizzard takeovers where they just go, and this is ours now, oh, look at you with no work.
Yeah, rather than outright buying, I will say that Sony does a lot more of like, hey, we're going to give you a lot of money to make your game and you'll stay independent. You won't be a Sony thing, you won't be a PlayStation thing. But we require exclusivity, at least timed, if not outright. Sony does have in-house game makers under Sony Entertainment or whatever it is. And I don't know the structure of those. You know, like when you look at EA, there's EA Montreal, there's EA Vancouver, whatever. They're all considered EA, but like if EA Montreal gets shut down, it's not quite the same tier that we would shed if, you know, an actual production house that's independent but owned by EA gets shut down by EA.
Boder, let's just revel in a moment. EA getting shut down.
Well, that would be like, again, the Mass Effect developers. Mass Effect got bought by EA. Like BioWare has been absorbed by EA a fair amount, and like Mass Effect was developed by, you know, partially developed by BioWare, partially by another EA thing. And like parts of it getting shut down or shuffled around, or like, all right, cool, we're keeping BioWare around, but we're closing down this office of BioWare and moving you guys over to here. BioWare is still open, but essentially the different offices are kind of different production teams. And that's what we do see with the mainline EA stuff, like DICE, and that we see with like some Activision that's just Activision and not by another production company. Probably what's going on with Microsoft Game Studios if they just make something as Microsoft, although they tend to go more with subcontracted companies under them. But Sony Computer Media, Computer Entertainment, I don't know the actual full name of it. I imagine that they are separate offices somewhere that sometimes get closed down, reshuffled, whatever, but it's done quietly, and it's not a studio shutting down, it's an office shutting down, but for all intents and purposes, an office is a studio.
Yes. Oh, and especially, don't discount the importance of one coder in a room alone for 4 months.
Yeah, we had a story about Notch, but we didn't get to it. Speaking of one guy making a game. We'll have to push that one back to next week. I know that Notch is sitting in the ready room with Death Stranding for their 15 minutes. Unfortunately, we are over time. So, Dave, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on real quick?
No, I'm just very excited for... Stay tuned in right here on Insane Games TV, because next you will be guided from the Nerd Glasses podcast into the able hands of Solo Boder on The Citadel. He'll be playing... And don't tell anyone this, but he's playing Too Human.
A game that, if you happen to have a disc, you can pop in, and Microsoft is like, yeah, sure, here, you can play it backwards compatible on the Xbox One. But don't tell anyone, or it's like available for free or something. I don't know. Anyway, the game had a lawsuit, and copies had to be destroyed, but we're playing it.
Next week, there will be also a story of a game that had a lot of controversy, and it's releasing next week. Make sure to tune in here next week for the Nerd Glasses podcast. This was so much fun. Thank you for everyone for tuning in and for chatting with us. I've been Dave Man.
And I've been Boder.
And this has been our time.